Okay. Did I make it? I'm live. I just got off the plane. We're running late. I honestly don't even know what's going on in the market. Do I even have this stream up right now? Can anyone hear me, see me, feel me? Dude, we are running late today. It's because they didn't let me fly the plane. Would have been way faster if they put your boy behind it. All right, hang on. Let's get this. Let's get everything. I'm literally just rocking. You guys are going to have to run the show today. You guys, this is your time to shine, to tell me what the news of the day is. I literally just got off the plane seconds ago. Dealt with this silly traffic. Dude, I'm losing chat. What is happening in the market? All right. We made it. We made it. Getting up at 4 a.m. to catch a flight is not the most fun thing, but here we are. All right. We need some web pages. All right. Let's get web page number one. What do we need? We need a little Twitter. We need some chart action. Let's do that. Charts. Let's get a couple charts rocking this morning. What the hell is that? All right. We do this one. Let's do a little S&P 500. Let's do a little bit of NASDAQ. Let's do a little bit of that chart. We need this one on the daily. And then we need this. All right. Are we green? Are we red? Folks, talk to me. Give me something to work with, people. That's on the daily. Here's the 10-minute. All right. These were drawings from way too long ago. Looks like we're in the green. That's cool. Gold and vol is the only thing I'm seeing red. So obviously overnight action seemingly liked whatever's going on. Or was there a bigger announcement that I missed? Or what was the high-low close? High-low close. Well, that's definitely not the right one. That's actually looking kind of bullish. Initial instincts are that looks kind of bullish there, Tonto. All right, so we did take out the high. Oh, we just got the downside gap, folks. Congrats if you played that. What is the low? We got to mark some of this out. Stop yelling at me. I'm working the fastest I can. People. What else do I need? We have that. We should probably get a little bit of options flow going, I guess. We're just kind of ripping it at this point. Please don't look at my password. That would be cheating. We get this. All right. We have the SPY. We have the MAG 7. All right. That's good. Flow thus far is not the best today. It was better on MAG 7, seemingly. Let's do this. Let's get the trace tool up. All right. We have all that. Zoom out. Looks like we have some positive gamma on the 0DT above at 5670, 5675, and 5700 with a reach target of 5740. Quite a bit of negative gamma down here. Big negative gamma zone between 5650 and 5600. So if we kind of lose this support region that we're at right now and start to crack 5650, you're looking at a 50-point sell-off right here. So I would definitely... that's like the first major thing that Trump is talking in 5 minutes. What the fuck is going on in my life today? Mr. Producer, I don't know if you could hear me. If anyone in the Discord can you guys send me a link to this Trump thing? I appreciate you guys calling this out in chat. Can someone help your boy out? I did not know Trump was talking today. 5 minute went bearish, 10 minute went bearish, 30 minutes. So, all right, seems as if there's some apprehension going into this Trump chit chat. Seems as if there's some apprehension going on here. All right, the daily is actually looking pretty strong. 5650. If we get sucked into 50, it's not only hitting the close from the previous day. We're talking about all the way back down to 5600. That's definitely a good chunk of negative gamma over there. A good chunk of negative gamma. All right, we got that. Is it not directly from the White House isn't streaming it? All right, a couple of you guys are sending it in. Much appreciated. Where the fuck? Which one should I click on? With the UK? Is this the 10 and 10 thing that I saw? The 10 and 10 thing? All All right, maybe I should update what should the title of today's show be? Live from the studio. Trump announces trade deal. All right, we're just doing some title updates. Dude, I need to open up so many different programs. I'm flying dark right now, team. I'm flying dark. All right, we have that. We have this. All right, that title's updated. Dude, I'm not a big guy, and it's still fascinating to me how uncomfortable a plane possibly can be. All right, I have the audio on, so we're not going to miss it starting in 2 minutes. Let me go back to this so you guys can see the charts. Let me edit some of this. Where's my title? Dude, getting in my Ford blows. Blows. All right. That title is going to be good enough. Trump announces trade deal. All right, cool. We're hitting some SEO. We did that. I should probably get all this other. All right, we're rocking there. I have this stream up. We're going to be hearing them in a second. Daily's actually looking decently strong. We kind of, the first two levels that jump out to me is this negative gamma patch with big support at 5650, and then maybe a little bit hiccup if we do revert 5680, but then kind of watching this 5700 level. The other thing we could possibly check out is this tool. All right, let's rip it. You guys can see this. Yes. All right, let's look at some of the other key levels. What do we have going on today? 0DT and all expiration. We're in between negative and positive gamma. It looks like the flip is closer to 56, kind of 80 is where the gamma levels are going to be flipping. So that's going to come into play. The same amount of calls and puts are live for open interest right now. The recent change, pretty much the same. Recent volume slightly favoring the calls. Interesting note at 5670, interesting note at 5600, reach 5700, 5725. Definitely watching those. We have puts are neutral and there's net call selling. So there is a ceiling being put in at various levels above us. Interesting. All right. So we went over that very, very quickly. We're losing a little bit of support here. Are these even the high, low, and close of yesterday? No, I'm off by a day. I am off by a day. I am off by seemingly 2 days. No, 1 day. All right, let's get these all lined up. High, low, close. Perfect. We did that. Let's do the same thing over here. I guess we're just waiting for Trump to chit chat. And I'm trying to get you guys as prepped up for this as I can. All right, we did all of that. 1 minute. Great, good. We don't need this over here. What is that doing? Looks like Tesla's, whoa, Palantir's up 5%. That's looking good today. Looks like Tesla's actually also having somewhat of a decent day. So it looks like some equities are kind of outperforming. So the SPY already got its downside gap fill on the daily chart. It appears that the Qs have yet to do that. So in terms of downside, definitely watching that on the Qs. It's, what is that? 485.80. So watching that. I do not have any of the programs open that I need open right now. All right, let me connect to Rhythmic. All right, let's go there. What else do I need? I need Ninja Trader. Dude, my hair looks like a crazy person. My hair looks like a crazy person. All right, log in. Oh, okay, there's my 20 accounts. Let's see if this loads. Just kind of waiting. Has anyone started on this? No, maybe they're running a little late. Trump speaks on trade deal with the UK. What is... Uh-oh, my Chrome just went a little nutty. We're just awkwardly waiting for this to load. Can I get back to this? All right, cool. Load faster. I mean, I guess if that got announced, it should be on CNBC. Trump says U.S. has struck comprehensive deal with the UK. UK to be the first country to sign Trump trade deal since reciprocal tariff pause, EU to launch despite against U.S. tariffs with the WTO. Trump digs in on high China tariffs ahead of the trade talks. So what was this? And also, we had obviously commentary from Jerome Powell. Trump says U.S. has struck comprehensive deal with the U.K. The White House is due to hold a news conference right now, 10 a.m. from the Oval Office. The U.S. President Donald Trump said Thursday the agreement with the U.K. is a full and comprehensive one. Britain, which runs a trade deficit with the U.S., was spread the higher reciprocal tariffs when Trump, Liberation Day duties. Okay, so they were spared it. That makes sense. What do we actually, that's 3 minutes. Let's play this.
That the U.S. will strike a trade deal with the U.K. And moments ago, he posted something additionally. The agreement with the United Kingdom is a full and comprehensive one that will cement the relationship between the United States and the United Kingdom for many years to come because of our long-time history and allegiance. Together. It is a great honor to have the United Kingdom as our first announcement. Many other deals which are in serious stages of negotiation to follow. And this will be the first agreement since President Trump hit countries around the world with tariffs, slapped them, I think. Hit doesn't, because you slap tariffs. Then paused them last month, unslapped them last month. Meanwhile, on the China front, a Chinese Commerce Ministry spokesman saying today that the U.S. needs to show sincerity, we said that yesterday, in trade talks, and be prepared to cancel unilateral tariffs, which we also said. Yesterday, President Trump said he wouldn't consider lowering 145% tariffs on China to spur those negotiations. He said, I think it was a flat-out no.
Ever since 9:50 started picking up.
And there were one-word answer, no.
No.
30 minutes trying to hold
Secretary
on.
Scott Bessent is set to meet with his Chinese counterpart in Switzerland this weekend to talk trade.
If we're going to have a bullish day, this is the point in the day to bounce, for the most without a doubt.
The UK, with the exception of certain goods, doesn't have has a trade surplus, not a trade deficit.
They only have
is it overall a trade surplus? Or
it depends how you measure it with goods. But let's just call it equal, if you want.
And I think
depending on the day, you could say it's up or down.
They have
but
one of the lowest tariffs. Wasn't it only 10% or something because
of no, it was 10% plus 25% steel and aluminum. There's a whole other sort of
steel and aluminum is important for them.
Items
cars
as well.
Autos are important for them.
But by the way,
pharmaceuticals are important for them.
10% is enough to be a problem.
Yeah.
And that's the point.
Right.
And this is not a country where there's a demonstrable deficit. So you can't look at the UK and say this is a country that we have a big problem with because they are raping and pillaging us the way maybe there's an argument to be made that some other countries are. This is not that country. So when you see a deal made on whatever terms they are, I can't even imagine.
Well, that's
even if it goes to zero, then what?
Looking at what the contour of this map is, right? If it's used as an example for other countries, right?
Maybe they'll there's some talk about
lower highs and lower lows, potentially
things
switching.
like that.
AI,
some new
part of it too.
Fresh highs,
my only
higher
point
lows.
This is, to look at this
You're
as a
saying
template
that this
for
is
anything.
the low-hanging fruit.
The lowest of the low-hanging. This is like not even hanging. It shouldn't have been tariffed to begin with.
Right.
This was like when we tariffed. What was that island that doesn't produce anything that we have no trade with?
Right.
Basically, on a mathematical basis, it's almost the equivalent.
The cynics on Twitter are saying it's reversing a self-inflicted move that didn't make sense in the first place.
That's true too.
Well, that's what the cynics are saying. I'm looking at you, but that's what the cynics are saying. Market's pretty smart. Maybe it's misguided. Could close lower today, but market likes it so far.
Let's see the details. Well, I think we find out at 10 a.m. Eastern time.
10 a.m. Eastern time. U.S. and UK set to make trade announcements. The Bank of England governor, Mr. Bailey, was asked about what the deal will mean for the UK economy earlier today at the central bank's latest interest rate decision. While Bailey said he needs to see the details of any agreement, he did emphasize that what happens between the U.S. and other trading partners also matters a lot for small and open economies like the UK. When asked about trade uncertainty facing UK businesses and consumers, here's what he said. We need many trade deals, actually, because this addresses trade across the whole world economy. So the UK is only a part of that, and that's what we'll need. I think that would be a big part of reducing the level of uncertainty around the trade policy going forward. So obviously we're now kind of all awkwardly waiting here to see when they get rocking. But it looks like they're running a little bit behind schedule. It was scheduled at 10. Let me just update this really quick. Okay, yeah, it still is not going yet. So obviously that's big news of the day. And then that's all on the tails of yesterday, where, as many of you know, we did not get a rate cut. Obviously a very specialty shout out to the newest host of the show. Folks, pause up, pause down. What did you guys think about Piper being here on the show? I think that she might start getting a couple extra slots. Maybe something like, I still do all 5 days a week, and then before you know it, I do 4, she does 1. Before you know it, she does 2, I do 3. And then we really start flipping, because I might do 2 days a week, and then she could do 3. And then maybe before you know it, I just run payday Friday, and she takes on all the main effort from Monday to Thursday. So pause up. Yeah, so obviously a new host for the show, so I appreciate you guys being so kind. She was nervous, but I don't think it came through. I honestly think that she projected it with a lot more confidence, but here, internal to the team, here at the studio, we were really all happy with it. We were all really happy with it. She talks too much? All right, well, it is a show, so I guess I'll give her that feedback, but... all right. I'm in a predicament because my bot is saying to go, it's about to say to go short. I don't know if I want to take it right before this announcement. I guess I could do it just with a tight stop. Oh. No, I'm not doing it. Scratch it. I'm skipping this signal. I'm not. It's just, I literally just got off the plane. I'm rushing to start the show. I'm looking over at the signal. I'm just not going to take it. The signal did fire to go short pretty much right here, but I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Not only do we have a potentially highly impactful commentary coming up, they could send the market one way or the other. So 50% of the time it might be super helpful. The other 50% of the time it might be absolutely awful. On top of that, I really just don't want to chase the extreme of the day. If I go short right now, I'm shorting at the SPY's low of the day. I'm shorting at the Q's low of the day. Just not necessarily where I want to be. Mag 7 kind of drifting down, and also the SPY just started puking at 10:04. A clear shift. It was kind of nothing, bearish, flat, bullish, flat, and now the delta is actually puking to the lowest level of the day. So wasn't the craziest trade for you to take the trend line breakdown. I'm sure, how many of you guys in chat did this trend line breakdown or something like this? How many of you went short at 10:06? Because if you did, I like it. Not only was it a nice technical play, basically bearish, a bit of a reprieve, and then going back, the market structure shift from bearish to bullish back to bearish right there at 10:04. So from a technical perspective, that's a nice trade because you go short, you're risking the recent high, but this one's going to be in alignment with the sell-off. And right here, this started at 10:04, and right here, this started at also 10:04. So you're also kind of playing that delta. So, hey, that was... I totally understand that trade, without a doubt. Well-defined risk. You're already probably at a 1 risk to reward. At this point, definitely, clearly I did not take the trade. But if you took that trade, first of all, congrats to you. It looks like it's going to pay off nicely. Obviously, you should be mindful of the high from the last 2 trading sessions on the SPY, and we're looking at that downside gap on the Qs right now. But at this point, just because of the Trump risk here, we're just kind of waiting for him to get going. What are they actually saying about it? I think it would be very, very smart to put your stop to break even and you get a freebie, like lotto ticket trade. Freebie lotto ticket trade.
On that note, Emily, do we expect there to be any discussion in terms of the threat to society and civilization? I mentioned it in part. Paul Tudor Jones,
30-minute is maybe breaking down.
Days ago, raising that.
Like I said, be mindful. If we do not hold 50, there's not much protection all the way down to
I just wonder, are there any members of the panel that we expect may go down that road, and or the role government might play in providing guardrails to protect us
Like,
all.
this is the support.
It's
If
really
this doesn't happen,
interesting,
not
David,
only are we
because
going to
when you
30,
talk
we're
to a
probably
lot of
going all the way
these AI
down
companies
to
and
5,
even
6,
some
10,
lawmakers in
5,600.
particular about the security
Like,
concerns,
this is
one thing
key
that they'll very
support
quickly
right here,
pivot
like
to
right
is that
where
the
we're
U.S. needs to remain dominant. The argument is that as long as the U.S. is at the forefront, they are setting the standards, they are setting the ethics, they have a spot at the table. And if the U.S. loses its dominance, then it might be a country like China that is instead setting those standards, those regulations, and those rules of the road. So I am very interested to hear, of course, both from Republicans as well
Palantir's
as
still going
Democrats.
up.
Obviously,
Tesla's
Democrats
getting
have
clocked
been,
a little.
I think, a little more cautious when it comes to AI. Of course, a little more interested in finding the appropriate
Q's just got the
guardrails
downside
for it.
gap, though,
But I think
hitting
just
that high from
across,
yesterday.
Lobbyists in general,
Congrats
across
if you
those
played
in
it.
the
That was a
AI
nice
industry,
trade.
there's a lot of concern that too much regulation is really going to slow
That
down
was
the
a nice
innovation
trade.
and what is needed to
That
keep
was a
America
really,
at the
if you took the
forefront of
1006,
AI.
1007 breakdown,
Yeah,
you should be
well, we'll
proud. That was a
paying close
good setup,
attention, certainly
and
with
now
your
you're
help,
making
Emily.
some
Thank
good
you,
money.
Emily Wilkins at the Capitol in D.C. Shares of ARM Holdings on pressure this morning. Take a look. The company reported
Bitcoin's
perhaps weaker than
ripping
expected
it.
guidance for the current quarter. It wasn't the earnings themselves, down 6.5%. Joining us
SPY
now, Renee
Delta's still
Haas. He's,
puking.
of course, the company's
Mag
CEO. Always
7.
happy to have you, Renee.
Puking.
And thank you for being here this morning. I guess the question I'm getting, certainly from those who own your...
All right. I don't think that's the most interesting thing. Wow. We are getting pummeled. And if the market, well, now we're 8 points into it. We've officially entered into this negative gamma influence. Let me reload this. The positive gamma support was at 56.50. And it looks like this was an error. All right, hang on. I'm on their beta testing, so they're probably pushing something live. Let me see what I can do. Yeah. Bit of a puke. Where are we at? How far do we dip? We dipped to 44. There's this positive gamma node at 50. The longer it stays below it, the higher the likelihood of hitting the previous closing value at 5631. And then if that doesn't hold, pretty much 5610, 5600, something like that, all the way down here. But once again, we're kind of at support. You could argue we're slightly overshooting it. So maybe we somehow spin out of this. It's a tough read right now because we're all just kind of waiting to see what Trump does or doesn't have to say. Obviously, that's going to be very, very impactful of what's happening in the short term. Potentially trying to get a little bit of a bottom right under it. How's the flow coming in? All right, a little bit of positive delta movement, jagged V shape almost down, and we're starting the right half of the V, a potential bounce right here. So watching that closely. Is that puts being monetized? Oh, it's actually people buying calls and selling puts. So puts being purchased, calls being sold from 10:04 to 10:12. So about 8 minutes, 9 minutes direct of that. And then right here at 10:12, we're seeing a like tactical switch in the overall market where some calls were being purchased, some puts were being sold. So adding positive delta, removing negative delta. But let's see if this trend will continue, or is it just like a little momentary reprieve and it actually gets destroyed? So with it, as I was just saying, it's a really, really tough read. Just because it seems like people are aggressively trading right now, and yet we're all just kind of waiting to see what the U.S. and the U.K. have to say. So I'm jealous of you if you took that trade because you'd already probably be done on the day. When did my bot? My bot would have gone short at 65. We're trading at 45, so I'd be up 20 points. I'd be up $400. So I don't know if I would have locked in I wouldn't have locked in anything. So for me, it would still be a live trade. So I can't really complain about it that much. 65, I would need it all the way down to 15, and then I would have been able to lock in 50 points or 1K per. Yeah, it's just, I would still be in it. If I can't really kick myself because I try to not trade at the extreme of the day because that's where I get destroyed. That's where I get destroyed. Oh, people are saying refresh the stream. Are they going over here? No. Am I missing something? Hey, we could watch our own show. I don't think. Hang on, let's check in on a couple of these. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. The Fox one over here is just of the White House. The CNBC one hasn't started. and then the Associated Press one also just of the White House. So I don't think we're missing anything yet. I don't think we are missing anything yet because 3 separate ones are not. I guess I'll make sure. Yeah, I'm not behind on time or anything. They're talking about AMD. Let me go to this. Oops. Dashboard. Where was this trace tool? All right. A lethargic movement to the upside, but granted, still moving to the upside. We went from the intraday delta high to the intraday delta low in the matter of 8 minutes. Like literally the peak delta high, the most bullish the options market was today to the most bearish it was on the day. And that only took a mere 8 minutes. That is crazy. How are we looking at this? 5 minute, 10 minute are bearish, and the 30 minute is actually technically now on the bearish side. We did close below, but it's not that far away. If it were to pop about 10 points, if the SPY were to go $1, you might be getting this fake out on the SPY and it actually stays bullish. Looking at the NASDAQ, 5 minute, 10 minute, clearly bearish, but same thing with the 30 minute. It's in the bearish side. We're breaking below the cloud, but it's not that far. So it would be a really interesting play if we can recover above the high of our current bar here. On ES, I'm looking at 5684. On NQ, I'm looking at 20,125, which would actually be bringing us up to roughly VWAP. Yeah, that's the Mag 7 is flat and at the bottom here. Got a little bit of this waterfall, but we're now seeing this recovery. Palantir's holding. Tesla's having a decent day. Let me go back down to this. All right, we're just now kind of awkwardly waiting for Trump. All right, well, my mind feels way less frazzled now, so we could chit chat. I appreciate you guys for being so respectful to our newest host, Piper, yesterday, so I wanted to say thank you for that. I also wanted to hope that you guys made a shitload of money playing it. Personally, I didn't really play it at all because I generally do not trade FOMC days well at all. So for me, it just actually worked out very, very well that we had this entire conference to go to. For those of you who might have been wondering where I was at an options conference down in Florida. Really, really cool. There was a meeting. It's not like an influencer thing or anything like that. This was like an industry professional, and they're talking about options market structure, and they're talking about the newest tool suites that people are using. Basically, a lot of people just said the word AI over and over and over again. But there were a couple cool things that I thought you guys would be interested in finding out. So the 2 things that I wanted to share with you, number one, most likely by the end of this year, we are going to be getting, instead of just Friday expirations for the likes of NVIDIA and Tesla and basically the FANGs and all that, they're going to add in 2 more expiration days per week. So no longer just Friday. Right now, the SEC is currently like awaiting in the comment period or whatever for 2 more days, Monday and Wednesday. So probably, if I had to guess, by the end of this year, the most popular equity names, I'm talking about your NVIDIAs, your Teslas, like those ones, not all of them, but those popular ones, they're probably going to have 2 more expirations to play, a Monday one and a Wednesday one on top of the current Friday one. So that was a kind of a cool thing. The NASDAQ filed for it, and they're basically just waiting SEC approval. So that was interesting. And then the other thing that I thought you guys would be like kind of cool to find out is they are in the initial steps of getting FINRA to review pattern day trading. So that one does sound, from just like the conference and how people were talking about it, that one doesn't necessarily sound like one that like we want to hold our breath on and it's going to be fixed overnight. But it is currently, the arguments and the opinions are currently being considered by FINRA, like the initial stuff, FINRA to maybe not get rid of pattern day trading. They weren't really pitching it that way, but to see if they could reform the rules or make it a little bit more reasonable. So that was another one that will probably impact a lot of us in here if we're entering into a new, ideally more logical regime of pattern day trading. So I thought that one was cool. So those were the 2 big announcements. Sounds like FINRA is in the very early steps of reconsidering pattern day trading, And then the other one was we're in more of the middle steps of the SEC. The NASDAQ just filed to get 2 extra expiration dates for the most popular tech stocks. And oddly, also XLF was included in it. But beyond XLF, which is the ETF, the financial subsector of the S&P 500, beyond that, they were all just the popular tech names. So it's kind of like FANG. It was the FANG stocks, like plus XLF. So instead of just expiring on Fridays, they're going to have Monday, Wednesday, Friday expirations. And then I think there was a weird little caveat of not doing it if they have in earnings. So let's just say Tesla were to have an earnings on Wednesday, there would not be an expiration date for that specific Wednesday. So to kind of like avoid it, I believe that's how the NASDAQ filing, or to my understanding of how it was being explained. Oh, my bot's about to fire long. Should I take it? 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 My bot is firing long. It is firing long. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to. So it fired short. I would have gone up a decent chunk. I would have gone 35 points, and I would have just got stopped out for break even had I taken that first one. And now the bot just fired long, and I don't know if I want to take it. I don't know if I want to take it. I don't think he's talking quite yet. So we're a little bit in no man's land. A little bit in no man's land. Mag 7 still not looking the best. We are also below VWAP. But if it runs all the way up to VWAP, a VWAP test would be 70 points. That's 1.4K. So you could play the VWAP test. Trendline breakdown. We puked. We got the downside gap fill. Actually, we got it earlier on the SPY, but that puke was enough to get it on the Qs. Do I want to do it? How long? That SPY potentially picking back up. I'm nervous. I don't know if I want to take it. I don't have it. You guys would have heard the whole order filled. I have not. The bot fired at just over 20,080. It fired at 20,081, and it's already down to 50. So I'd be in the whole $600 if I took it. Really, since the second the bot fired, it has gone down. So breaking UK bringing back the tax on tea. Oh, brother. Here we go. Mag 7 is making me not so optimistic about this. Not so optimistic. I'm just wondering. The question here is, do we have lower highs or are we putting in higher lows? You could watch that trend line. We broke that. So that's not the most interesting structure to pay attention to. A little bit of technicals, a little bit of structure. I'm kind of watching, I don't know, like this oblong setup that I have going on right here. I'm not sure I'm necessarily in love with it, but we do have lower highs and we potentially now might have higher lows. It looks like the SPY is a bit more steep. Palantir not doing the most. Tesla was looking good, kind of gave it back. MSTR, nothing's, Broadcom might be picking up. Meta, everything had a good open and is kind of getting a little bit smoked. Seems as if the SPY is running into issues at yesterday's high, but I do want to remind you that key level that we were seeing on Spot Gamma's trace tool was this support at 50. So we overshot it and it popped back up, which is kind of why I'm interested in playing it. All right, I'm in it. I'm going to give it a whirl. I just went long. Just went long, and basically my target is up here at VWAP. And then for my downside protection. Just had to update that a little bit, a slight overshoot from this recent. What I really want to see, where I'll feel more comfortable, is if we take out this recent high, I could either move my stop up to this recent swing at 44 if I wanted to be really aggressive and basically like really de-risk the Trump situation on that breakout. I could even move my stop to break even, and there would be a high odds chance of me getting hit, but once again, it wouldn't really matter that much because I would at least be break even. So if I got hit, it's really no harm, no foul. So I decided to take that signal slightly delayed. I skipped the first one. The first one, if I had taken the signal, would have ended in a break-even situation. The second one technically fired at 10:22-ish, and I actually got about a 10-point better fill than I would have buy waiting. So basically, I took the second signal of the day in a slightly delayed fashion. And if I had to give myself a grade on this particular decision, I'd say it's a B minus. So what I like is that, okay, we're potentially picking up. So looking at structure, we got this flush below a key level. Once again, the key level, 5,650. You know what? Let me make that a horizontal line because I'll be able in real time to explain this trade a bit better. So as we were rushing, or as you guys were laughing at me, and as I was rushing to get ready today, we identified 5650 as a key interest level, open interest level, and thus the gamma influence, because this was kind of like the last portion where we had a bit of positive gamma, and below it there was a 40 to 50 point region of negative gamma. So this was a clear influence from that positive to negative movement, and commonly that's a place that's going to be identified to be important because it literally changes the characteristics of how the market makers are going to react. Anyway, we got the downside gap fill at 950. We bounced. We still got lower highs. We puked below it. And like I said, the longer we stay below it, it could get bad because then we could get absorbed into this truly the negative gamma situation. But as you can see, it puked for 2 minutes and then all of a sudden started grinding back up. So the market equilibrium did not want to be a negative gamma. We recaptured positive gamma. We went up. We made a higher low, and then that kind of gave us this weird structure that we're now looking at. And on top of it, we got the downside gap on the SPY. We got the downside gap on the Qs, as in it cleaned up the chart. So putting that together. So from a technical perspective, consolidation. Lower highs, higher lows, lower highs, higher lows. So it's somewhat of a bet of which way are we going to break out of said, I suppose. But then also you could say, hang on, check out the daily. The daily is also actually bullish because we are on the daily chart. This might influence your bias on the day or on their intraday trading session is the overall momentum of the daily chart. Yes, we're on top of the EMAs. We have higher highs. We have higher lows. We actually just put in a fresh higher low. So that's once again on the daily chart. And then coming back to the intraday chart, kind of just seeing this bleed off in the morning, potential overshoot. Honestly, going long at 10.14, 10.15, a bit ballsy, but you would have had minimum risk, and you're basically saying, no, I think this positive gamma is going to hold, and look at that, you'd already be up very, very nicely. So a little bit of structure talk. Why this is not an A+ setup is because the 5-minute and the 10-minute are bearish. The 5-minute clearly down, 10-minute clearly down on ES and on NQ, but where it's not so weak is the 30-minute might be saving itself. So kind of calling that out. Statistically, I've done a lot of work on this. The 30-minute on an intraday trading perspective, the 30 minutes 50 EMA, influential, and that's literally where we're at right now. So we puke. The question here, or the thesis of this trade is, maybe this is a slight overshoot, and then we're actually going to be bouncing out of it. So kind of looking at that to play out on both the S&P 500 and on the NASDAQ. And right now, I'm slightly green. I would love for this to follow up just so I can move my stop up either to this stop, or I'll probably go to break even just so I don't have to take on political risk. And of course, the political risk, well, it's more of risk of high volatility. The volatility might be my favor and it might just jump it up and then I lock in all my gains. That's obviously possible. So what I care far, far more about is just protecting myself and getting my stop up a bit higher. Things are starting to get a little jumpy right now. I don't know if they're about to start talking, but you could even you could literally see more trades hitting the tape. So I would love for us to take out 20,102, whatever this recent high is. And then I'd be up about 20 points. So even if it goes to 2010, I could be pretty comfortable with moving this up and really just taking my risk off the table. I kind of like the sound of that. But anyway, so we went over the structure. And then the other thing that was happening during all that is we saw the flow greatly improve. We went from the delta high of the day to the delta low of the day. And then as we were grinding up, guess what? We're now hitting a new fresh delta high. So we went from the from the options vantage point We went from the most bullish to the most bearish, back to the most bullish, and that happened between 10:04 to 10:12, back to this recent spike at 10:27. So this was a 23-minute ordeal where we went from the most bullish to the most bearish, back to the most bullish. So I like that, obviously, but on the Mag 7, not the most stoked that we're just grinding sideways. But I should also remind you that even the 0 DTE for the Mag 7 is not really a 0 DTE. It's the next expiration, which would obviously be tomorrow, not today. So sometimes it's worthwhile to hop in and see what the Nasdaq has been doing. And at least that's not vomiting anymore. If anything, you could say it's not really making fresh highs, but it's also not making fresh lows, like clear low, clear low, clear low. So the lows are grinding higher. So it's a mixed bag. It's definitely a mixed bag. Not the worst trade I've ever taken, but also not the best trade I've ever taken. If anything, I'm kind of just praying that this breakout actually happens here on the SPY, which on a relative basis, intraday relative basis, it does seem as if the SPY is a bit stronger in terms of this recovery. Just looking at the percentage jump we've gotten from 10-12 to now, it does appear that the SPY is a bit larger, while tech is getting a bounce, but it's a bit more lethargic, if you will. It's not lethargic. Palantir. PLTR is looking like a monster. I have some of that in my long-term account, so I'm not complaining at all, but I also wish I were actively trading it because that'd be a nice one. All right, let me double check. Yeah, we're still, I don't know, I see some random guy waiting. Where this was supposed to be at 10. So not only was I late today, which my apologies for that. I made you guys like 45 minutes late. Generally, we start at 9. Like I said, hey, I should take some ownership, but they wouldn't let me fly the plane. They would not let me. Ooh, do I want to just do it now? Yeah, fuck it. Riskless. Out of my hands now, team. It's out of my hands now. I did what I am paid to do. I manage my risk, and we're going to see if Lady Luck will allow me to hit my profit. Worst case scenario, not a zilch goose egg. Best case scenario is your boy makes 20 grand. So I just was waiting for it to go enough in my favor where I'm like, okay, I don't want like the worst odds of getting like smacked out. And I definitely still could. I mean, heck, we're at a key level. Even for it to pull back a bit here wouldn't be the most insane thing. But just because the Mag 7 was a little bit funky, and just because at any second we might hear the camera start and all the cameras popping off and they say something and you don't know how the bots are going to react, at least I protected myself. So given the almost like political structure right now, I think that this is the right move to be a bit more aggressive with my stop, because the Mag 7 options flow, a little bit suspect, and then also there's just unknown political risk. So maybe the political risk helps me and I quickly get my gains, but just in case it doesn't, I'm protecting myself, because it could be bad news, and then before you know it, by the time I react, I'm already 50 or 100 points out and I blew out my money. So that is, I think that makes sense. Am I explaining that in a way, or am I confusing people of why I'm a bit more aggressive right now and the reasoning for it? Because I feel like we went over price structure, we went over price momentum, we went over options flow, we took a look at the daily chart. Obviously, we're kind of the daily chart through the lens of the Fed and then Trump speaking today, and then just kind of, I suppose, the bots are just doing bot things. I skipped the first bot signal. It was a short signal. It would have been in break even. And then this was my second bot signal of the day, which obviously I decided to take it. Technically, it fired earlier. It fired over here on this, basically on this breakout. So probably if I took it right away, probably would have gotten a fill closer to 90. So the fact that I was a bit patient and then let it come back up over here saved me 10 points. Better entry would have been at 70 points, and then I would have gotten darn close to getting out. Really, really close. I'm just going for a 50-point gain here, because 50 points on NQ is $1,000. But whatever. The way I'm playing it right now, I should be honest and transparent about it. The way I'm playing it is there's a very high odds chance, like more than a 50% chance, probably maybe a 50% chance that I get stopped out for break even. When you don't give it that much room, when price isn't that far away from you, inherently, the closer you move your stop to break even in terms of like where price is at in real time, the closer it is, it doesn't take a rocket surgeon to realize that if it's super close, just random variance, the vagaries of the market could just like stop you out. So we're going to see. We're going to see. I hope it doesn't get stopped out. I was hoping that maybe 20,100 holds, maybe even if it dips, maybe just a quick bounce off of 90. But like I said, there's a slightly better than 50% chance that this one gets tapped out. And I can almost guarantee you, well, it's getting real close. It's coming for me. Yeah.
Order canceled.
I gave it a shot. And now that happens, this is almost going to like be an official guarantee that this will rip and go. So I took a shot at it and it just didn't go my way, but also it didn't really cost me anything. Keeps me in the game. I still think it's a smart move because at any second this could get going here. And before you know it, Trump might say something really good or really bad. So in terms of just, I think it was necessary to have that much protection. I do. So I don't mind it. And we'll see. I don't know what's the flow looking like right now. Maybe a fake out breakout, maybe a fake out. Honestly, I don't mind that protection just from beyond the Trump stuff that we do or don't know what's happening here. What the fuck is on my hand? Beyond that, this is just a failed breakout. Yeah, all of a sudden the SPY delta started to dump quite a bit right there. So I don't mind that in the slightest that I protected myself. Just the market didn't want to give me what it wanted to give me. Break-even trades are the only way to play in this market. I deeply believe that because you just don't know. And if you're on the right side of it and you catch a trend, great, you could ride it. The issue here is you just don't know when this stuff is going to get all funky on you. Doesn't know when it's going to get all funky. I mean, before you know it, like we were trying to get that breakout right there, and then it just got smacked, and we're now at the other side of it, and maybe it does. I mean, I could redraw it that way. We could redraw it this way. Maybe that's just a new bottom. 1038. Yeah, dude's still not talking. That is correct. They are still not talking. It sounds like they're maybe still ironing some stuff out, but we're just waiting. Palantir doesn't seem to mind. Palantir just ripping it. Oh, that would have made my day far easier had if that just pumped a little bit more, given me my fill, and then we just left. I could have had my money. But alas, I did not. How's the flow looking now? And actually, what is the exact? We're at 56. Remember, 50 is going to be important support. Let me check this thing. All right, I'm just going through some of these data services. Oh, hang on. I do have another important one to check while we're waiting to see if we actually bounce out of here. It would be an interesting bounce point. That's just an official higher low. An official higher low. What was the flow looking like? The Nasdaq was improving and then just got hit. The Mag 7 puked until about 1012 and just, it's not bullish, it's not bearish, it's just going sideways. And then the S&P 500 actually hit a delta high and then puked, and now we're just going sideways. So someone was playing something, reversed it, and now just awkwardly in no man's land. Well, I'm happy with it. I'm happy that I was smart enough to protect myself, because right now I'd be down by 15 points and I'd be thinking, dude, you let yourself go up. Why are you doing this to yourself? Why in the world are you doing this to yourself? And in reality, a failed breakout is by definition bearish. Now we're getting smacked to the other side. 5 minute, 10 minute. Oof. I don't know, dude. I don't know about this. I don't know about this. Is this breakdown worthwhile to take? I'm nervous. I don't know if I should or shouldn't. Is anyone taking this breakdown trade? I mean, we technically haven't snapped 50, so 50 could still be support. So I feel like shorting right on top of support is not the most useful trade. Remember, 50 is big option support, and we might just be coming out of this right here. We might be. SPY was looking bad. Someone just splashed the pot a little bit. Even the Mag 7 picked up a little bit, attempting to save itself from disaster. We are at this bottom trend line. It's a tough call. It's not the most decisive. There is, I think, based on your personal bias, you could see whatever you want to see here. I think there's an argument that this is bullish. I think there is an argument that this is bearish. We know it's not a nice trend. So I think it's just really, really easy to almost convince yourself that whatever your bias is, it is in, like, you're seeing it in the market. Matt, just to sign up for Ninja Trader. You wouldn't sign up for, if you're trying to trade the way I am, you wouldn't sign up for Ninja Trader first. You would first sign up for Apex. And then when you do sign up for Apex, they'll email you all of the steps of how to get going. Of course, you could trade on Ninja Trader if you want to just trade your own capital. But if you want to trade with Apex's money, Ninja would be the brokerage, but like the data and the capital, you'd have to have an Apex account. But of course, if you want, you could just trade your own capital directly. Matt, can you explain your bot? Is it an indicator you have on TradingView? No, it's a trading bot that I fire off on a SIM account, and then I decide if I want to take it on my actual accounts. And it's not on TradingView. Well, we're trying to decide if this really is going to be shoulder, head, shoulder, and support found at the high from yesterday, support found at the 1051 low, and we bounce and take the trend line out, or is this just a failed breakout and it's bearish and we're about to peak to the intraday low? You could see it both ways. And that's why a lot of the times with technicals, I argue it's a lot more of an art than it is a science, because you could easily say lower highs, not good, lower lows on the way to potentially make another fresh low. That's a bearish trend. Another person could see inverse shoulder, head, shoulder, and you're bullish on the like inverse neckline snap, and then that's a bullish play. So like it's one of those things where a lot of the time technical analysis is taught in retrospect. It's taught through the lens of knowing where the market went that day, and then you kind of contort your argument to make it seem like it was so obvious. But once again, that's with the benefit of hindsight. While in reality, right now, no one in here should be shocked if this bounces and rips or breaks down and we see a fresh low. If we look at this 1033 high and if we look at this 1012 low, no one in here should be shocked if we take that high out or if we take that low out. Like, we're literally just halfway in that region, and we're just kind of also awkwardly waiting to see what happens in the options market. We're kind of waiting to see what Trump either does or doesn't say. We're all a little bit confused about why nothing has been said yet. The momentum is bearish. Price structure was looking bullish. We made a fresh high, but now the low is getting pulled back so much that we might be in a broadening pattern, which is the worst pattern to trade because that is higher highs and lower lows. So you're getting more extreme price movement. So that sucks. And then we got some bounces coming. Someone is coming in right at 50 right here on SPX. Look at that. Look at that. Huh. Well, would you look at that? Yeah, people are reacting right to that open interest level. Momentum is bearish. 5-minute, 10-minute bearish. 30-minute doesn't know what it wants to do. 5-minute, 10-minute bearish. 30-minute doesn't know what it wants to do. So the 4 hours is bullish on both. So bearish, indecisive, bullish. And then we're seeing that also on the S&P 500. Bearish, indecisive, bullish. Wait, did Trump not speak yet? Nope. He was supposed to speak 45 minutes ago. He was supposed to speak 45 minutes ago. The market is honoring this support at 50 as of now, but it kind of does that type of stuff until it doesn't. The cloud just cut off there, but yeah, we overshot this 50 support. Had a nice pump, actually. We went from 41 all the way up to 68. And now we bled right back down to this key level. And the question is it going to hold? No one on this planet can tell you if it's going to hold or not. People who know how to trade will tell you that this is a key support level. And if the support level goes, not only are we going to see a new intraday low, we're probably going to get a 20-point puke all the way down to yesterday's closing value at 5631. So, yeah, we're at support. If it bounces, great. We're going back up to this high that we saw at 1034. If it doesn't hold, intraday low followed by an additional sell-off. Like, that's pretty much the setup. Except Nancy Pelosi. Nope, even she can't. She doesn't actively trade. So I don't buy that. A lot of people try to make that joke of like, oh, she could, or inverse Kramer could. But remember, those time frames are different. Those are much more of like fundamental call outs or longer term, multi-month swing plays. In terms of day trading, no one on this planet could. They announced a 10% deal stays in the deal. Yeah, we have some idea of what the amount. What are these guys saying? Adjusting your stagflation strategy. Well, that's boring. We have some of the details of this, but we live in a world where things are reported and then seconds later they are completely upended or reinforced, or they're reinforced and upended later. Like, it's just like, I don't know, the whole thing. Like, we have to wait until we actually hear something. But yes, like, we have some info. We have some info. Oh, how's the flow looking right here? Mag 7 not doing anything. SPY, big pop, half was dropped, and now we're flat, just waiting. So the options market is not making a compelling argument one way or the other. The momentum is bearish, neutral, bullish on both. And then we're also right on top of key support. You just got to wait. You just got to wait. If this breaks, intraday low test, 5631. If we bounce, look to take out 57, then 65, then 69. Basically, this is the bull case. This is the bear case. And you can play it as you see fit upon the reaction from this level. Like, this is the level that's going to be deciding it. We're coming up to it right now. So whether you're bullish or bearish here, hey, Godspeed. Keep your risk in check. Don't do anything stupid. Trendline breakdown. Looks like it's about to snap, and then nope, buyer step right in at this level. And I know that's frustrating. I know a lot of people, when they're initially taught or whatever about trading, they think that there's some way to predict it, and you can't, which makes probably trading even more, not more difficult, but difficult in a different manner. Like, no one here should be like, I know this will bounce. I know this will break down. Of course, you might be some form of hopeful based on whatever your bias of the day or pre-existing like position that you just like want to benefit. But in reality, if you look at the actual math and the modeling of this, you just don't know. Like, the point of doing this, going through this exercise day in and day out, is to identify the key levels and then look for the price to, or the markets to react via price movement at said key levels. And then you just know then you just know what zone you're in. You know what zone you're in. And it's getting tested, but before it got tested and bounced right out of it, we had some tests in here. Flow's not looking the best at it. That's definitely giving it some negative momentum. See how the SPY delta just keeps dropping. What are we doing? People are getting rid of their calls, and they're somewhat getting into puts. So calls are getting sold, puts are getting purchased. So we are removing positive delta and simultaneously adding negative delta. But I'm not seeing that continued. What's weird is what we're seeing is a lack of bullishness. The bearishness is actually kind of neutral. The bears are not continually buying puts at this point. They're kind of flat. So once again, the drop is not bearish by looking at the calls or puts. If anything, it's probably best described as lack of bullish. Lack of bullish. Yeah, the puts are just flat. They are just flat. Super indecisive. He is live. Where? V News. Where? V News. So two of them are still just on the White House. CNBC went black, which I don't know what that means. Trump is talking now. Where? What link are you finding that he's talking? I reloaded this. Does anyone have a link of where he is? Like, they're not live on this one. It's on.
Today's
there we go.
agreement with the
That just
UK
took forever.
is the first in a series of agreements on trade that my administration has been negotiating over the past 4 weeks. With this deal, the UK joins the United States in affirming that reciprocity and fairness is an essential and vital principle of international trade. The deal includes billions of dollars of increased market access for American exports, especially in agriculture, dramatically increasing access for American beef, ethanol, and virtually all of the products produced by our great farmers. And our Secretary, as you know, of Agriculture is here. Brooke, thank you very much for being here.
Day. Thank you, sir.
You'll let the farmers know. In addition, the UK will reduce or eliminate numerous non-tariff barriers that unfairly discriminated against American products. But this is now turning out, I think, really to be a great deal for both countries, because it'll be really great for the UK also. So they're opening up the country. Their country is a little closed, and we appreciate that. They'll also be fast-tracking American goods through their customs process, so our exports go to a very, very quick form of approval, and there won't be any red tape. Things are going to move very quickly both ways. The final details are being written up in the coming weeks. We'll have it all very conclusive, but the actual deal is a very conclusive one. We think just about everything's been approved. So good for both countries, and we'll also receive new market access for American chemicals, machinery, and many other industrial products that weren't allowed, and they'll end up getting products that they'll be able to price, and if they like them better and we make great products, they'll be buying those products, but they were not available in the UK. Furthermore, in a historic step, the deal includes plans that will bring the United Kingdom into the economic security alignment with the United States. That's the first of its kind. So we have a big economic security blanket, and that's very important, and we feel very, very comfortable with that because it's been a great ally, truly one of our great allies. I mean, a lot of people say our greatest ally. I don't want to insult people by saying that, but I can say it's certainly one of our greatest, and right at the top, and they're the first one we're talking about. And by the way, we have many meetings planned today and tomorrow, and every country wants to be making deals. And we have a meeting, as you know, Scott will be going over to Switzerland on Saturday, and that'll be very, very interesting. We'll find out, but I think they want to make a deal very badly too. Both countries have agreed that the economic security is national secured, and will be working together as allies to ensure that we have a strong industrial base, appropriate export controls, and protections for key technologies and industries like steel. Steel is a big factor. Both countries will become stronger with steel and things necessary for military. You know, we used to build ships and other things literally at a level that nobody's ever seen, and we haven't we've eased up.
Intraday low.
The UK certainly eased up, but now we're going to be uneasing both, and we work together. Once again, I want to thank Prime Minister Starmer. He's been terrific for his partnership in this matter. The special relationship and external bond, it's really an external and an internal bond between our two countries, will soon be stronger than ever before. And we really do. We have a great relationship. I want to just say that the representatives of UK have been so professional, and it's been an honor doing business with all of them, and in particular the Prime Minister. And I'd like to introduce him now to say a few words. Mr. Prime Minister, please take it away.
Thank you, Mr. President, Donald. And this is a really fantastic, historic day in which we can announce this deal between our two great countries. And I think it's a real tribute to the history that we have of working so closely together. Can I pay tribute, Donald, to your negotiating team as well, particularly yes. Howard and Jameson, who've done an incredible job, a very professional job, and my team as well. Two negotiating teams have worked at pace now for a number of weeks to bring in this deal today. Really important deal. This is going to boost trade between and across our countries. It's going to not only protect jobs but create jobs, opening market access. And as you say, Donald, the timing couldn't be more apt, because not only was it 80 years ago today that victory came for Europe after and at the end of the Second World War, but of course on that day the UK and the US stood together as the closest of allies. And Donald, I think even down to the hour, because you may or may not know that it was about this time of day, exactly 80 years ago, that Winston Churchill announced victory in Europe, and that led to great celebrations across Europe, across America, but particularly in the United Kingdom. Literally people going out into the street, putting bunting up, going up to the palace. And so to be able to announce this great deal on the same day, 80 years forward, almost at the same hour, and as we were 80 years ago, with UK and the US standing side by side, I think is incredibly important and makes this truly historic. That close relationship has endured over those 80 years. As you know, Donald, when it comes to defence and security and intelligence sharing, of course, there are no two countries that are closer than our two countries. And now we take this into new and important territory by adding trade and the economy to the closeness of our relationship. It is built, as you say, on those notions of fairness and reciprocal arrangements. We've always had a fair and balanced arrangement between our countries. This builds on that. Hugely
order submitted.
For sectors like
I'm throwing in a yellow order. It's not live yet. You'll hear it. I have a pending order.
And yes, we can finish hammering out some of the details, but there's a fantastic platform here, including, of course, on the tech side, where I think I'm right in saying we're the only two Western countries with trillion-dollar sectors when it comes to tech. And in the end, it comes down to, as you say, Donald, economic security is national security. On national security, we've been absolutely the closest of allies for so many years, keeping the peace through that close alliance, that friendship. And now we add to that this deal on trade and the economy. And I want to thank you for your leadership on that, Donald, and for the way in which your team have negotiated this. And I'm so pleased that we've got this deal, we've finalised it, and we've built an incredible platform for the future. So thank you so much. Donald, I'm now going to go and do a press conference. I think you have your press in with you. But on the details, I think if you've got Howard, we can deal with that through one of my team.
That's great. Well, Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much. It's an honor. We're going to have a continued, maybe a better relationship than ever before. You know, I don't know if the media knows, but the U.S. and U.K. have been working for years to try and make a deal. And it never quite got there.
Yeah.
It did with this Prime Minister. So I want to just congratulate you.
Well, with this President, this Prime Minister, we've managed to achieve what many people have tried to achieve for many years.
That's right.
And I'm really pleased. And it feels completely historic and on a special 80-year anniversary as well. So, Donald, thank you so much. It's really good to have got this deal over the line.
Donald.
Tribute to both teams, tribute to our countries, and tribute to your leadership.
Thank you. Well, it really is a great thing. And you go do your press conference, and I'll see you soon. Maybe speak to you later. But thank you very much, and an incredible thing. I can't tell you that for so many years, even as I sat, everybody talked and talked and talked about a deal with, it just seemed like a natural deal, but it was not done, but now it was done with us. So I feel very proud to have been a part of it. Keir, thank you very much.
I'm looking for SPX to
Very
test
good. So long.
to test 5650 right here, this key level, kind of been the focal point of the day.
Why don't I do this? Why don't I have our Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, give a little description of the deal pretty quick, and then the good side, the very nice side, we'll be speaking about it also, maybe, from so you get a pretty equal. I think it's a very, it's just been a deal that was, we thought, very complicated. It became very simple. It's opening up the country that we really didn't have the kind of access to that I would have thought. I was surprised. I think it's why the deal never got done before. It was, they've been working on this deal for 25 years. And we got it done, and we got it done. Really, it's going to be great for both countries. So, Howard, if you could go, and then somebody else, you may have, you'll pick whoever you want who'd like to do it. I have a feeling you're going to do it, right? So you guys go ahead, and then we'll take questions right after that. But I think you'll get a pretty good understanding of how big it is. It's a very large deal, very big deal. And Howard, go ahead.
So the UK is the 6th largest economy in the world and the 4th largest that we export to, right? So it's a huge market, a top 10 market. If you remember Liberation Day, they were at 10% because we have balanced trade with the UK, right? They say they have a surplus, but of course that counts gold bullion, which is, so let's just call it balanced trade. So how do you open up a market in balanced trade? People think it's impossible. They've always thought it was impossible until President Trump came on the scene and changed the way things work. So here's what we've got. We've opened up new market access, ethanol, beef, machinery, all the agricultural products. They've agreed to open their markets, and that will add $5 billion of opportunity to American exporters. So the question is, why would they do that now? Because they've never done it before. And we still have our 10% tariff on, which will produce $6 billion of revenue for the United States. So the idea was, how do they keep their jobs, protect their economy, and do the best for their people while opening the market for us? And the way is they studied it, their team was exceptional, and they tried to figure out the markets that they're importing from other people and try to send them over to America. So why were they always favoring others and not us? And what they've done is they've found the ways to do that so that we have new access, right? But the UK workers are protected, and that was the balance. So we did a deal with them in automobiles, and if you're not building here, we charge you a 25% tariff. But the president, and by the way, I want to make this clear, while Jameson and I worked hard, this was the president's deal, and people think, oh, that's not the way it works. If you got to sit next to him, I have the best deal maker to my left, and if you don't think that we take advantage of him calling the prime minister and getting that deal done, you don't understand who's the president of the United States. So he's the closer. He gets deals done that we could never get done because he understands business, he understands deals, and that's why we're here today. So he agreed they could send 100,000 cars into America and only pay a 10% tariff. And that protects their car industry. And remember, we do 16 million cars a year. So this is only like 0.6%. But for the UK auto people, this is tens of thousands of jobs that the president agreed that he would protect for them. So he made that deal, right? Then steel and aluminum. Right? Their steel business has been destroyed like everybody else has been destroyed by people dumping steel into their markets. And British Steel had announced it was closing down. So the British government, as part of this deal, nationalized British Steel, and they're going to match the kinds of models we do. They'll put tariffs on, they'll put quotas on. They want to do it with America so they can be part of the resurgence of steel and aluminum in America, and that saves them, again, thousands and thousands of jobs. So if you go step by step, aero and commercial planes, they sell Rolls-Royce engines to Boeing. We've agreed to let Rolls-Royce engines and those kind of plane parts to come over tariff-free. And what you're going to hear today is there's going to be an announcement at the UK that they are buying $10 billion worth of Boeing planes later today, but I'm going to let the name of the airline announce it because that's theirs to do it. Part of this deal was always to do it together and to do it strong, and you can see the numbers on this board. Everything about this board works exceptionally well for the United States of America. It lays out the plan that you can work with us in autos, you can work with us with aero and commercial, you can work with us in pharmaceuticals if you have a supply chain that is secure and protected in national security. So we feel really good about the deal. You've heard the Prime Minister, he feels really good about the deal, right? And we started at 10% and we ended at 10%, and the market for America is better, and this is a perfect example of why Donald Trump produced Liberation Day. People don't understand. He gets things done in a matter of time. This would have taken Jameson and I 3 years, maybe. And instead, we got it done in 45 days, certainly, because we work for Donald Trump. So, Jameson, my partner in all this, maybe Jameson, you'd like to talk a little, and then we'll turn it over to the UK.
Sure, happy to do that. Everyone has great remarks. I just have to echo the President and the Prime Minister when we talk about VE Day. This is something we've been waiting for decades, and there is no more appropriate day to do this. And when we step back and we look back a few weeks from now or months from now or years from now, we're going to look back at this day and better appreciate the significance, I think. And I'll just say as well, in terms of negotiating, I mean, the UK negotiators, you know, we've got one right here, did an incredible job, right? This is why you win wars, right? When you act like this. And the ambassador, he knows more about trade than a lot of us here, based on his background. And I would say on this deal, Mr. President, what we've shown is that it is time to change the way we do trade. People said we couldn't do a global tariff. We did a global tariff. They said no one would want to deal with us. People want to deal. They said no one give offers. You saw that stack of offers I showed you yesterday of all those countries.
Order submitted.
Said we wouldn't get deals, and here we are with the deal with the 6th largest economy. We've agreed to have fair and reciprocal trade, and we've done it in record time.
Thank you very much.
Bots are going crazy.
Well,
Look,
Mr.
Mom, no
President,
hands.
very much indeed in hosting us this morning. And thank you very much indeed also for that very typical 11th hour intervention by you with your phone call to the President, demanding even more out of this deal than any of us expected. So thank you for that. The Prime Minister was delighted, obviously, to take that call late at night. But you took it to another level, and I think the point I would make is twofold. One is that if we're going to rebalance and rebuild international trade in a way that serves all our interests, then we're better doing that together than separately and apart, and that's what we're on a mission to do. But secondly, you've done what you said you would do. You said to the Prime Minister when he came and we visited in the Oval that you would do a good trade deal with the United Kingdom, that you would do it at pace, and that we would be first. And you have delivered that. You know, you've been true to your word. So thank you very much indeed for that. For us, it's not the end. It's it's the end just of the beginning. I mean, there is yet more we can do in reducing tariffs and trade barriers so as to open up our markets to each other even more than we're agreeing to do today. But it also provides us with the platform, the springboard, to do what I think will be even more valuable for both our countries in the future, and that's creating a technology partnership between the United States and the United Kingdom, so that we can harness science and technology in order to create future industries and future jobs, and to do that together in the way we work so closely already in the national security and defense area. We can just take that to yet further areas of science, enterprise and endeavor. So we're looking forward to doing that in the coming months. You've launched us extremely well today. It just, in my view, as the Prime Minister has said, just shows what two countries who trust each other, who are confident in each other and are familiar with each other can do, not just for ourselves, but for those, the rest of the world, who need to benefit from a bigger and better international trading system.
Thank you very much.
Bigger and better.
I'd like to have that accent. Thank you.
My mother would be proud.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
All right, let's rip some Q&A.
Why Britain and why now? And
Why?
This deal is a full and comprehensive deal, and yet we've just heard from Mr. Mandelson it's the end of the beginning. Clearly, there's much more work still to do. With respect, are you overstating the reach and significance of this deal because you're a president who needs a result at a difficult time?
I think that it's a great deal for both parties. It's for us. We're opened up. I didn't know how closed it was. Quite closed, the market, as you know, the UK, and it opens up a tremendous market for us, and it works out very well, and a lot of assets. You see the chart, and those are tremendous assets. But we've been trying, and when you say why us, meaning your country, we've been trying for years, and they've been trying for years to make a deal, including when I was in the, first term. It would always be people talking, but they weren't getting it done. But for 25 years before that, they were trying always to make a deal, a very significant deal. I actually, until I looked at the numbers, I didn't realize this is a very conclusive deal, but we think we can grow it even from that. But this is a maxed out deal, not like you said it. You said it really incorrectly. This is a maxed out deal that we're going to make bigger, and we make it bigger through growth. But we have tremendous assets involved. I was surprised to see how big your country is in trade, actually. One of the biggest in technology and so many other things. It's agriculture. I really didn't know. It's depending on your definition, it's from 4 to 5 to 6. That's pretty big in the world. So I was very impressed by that. But we're going to take it to new levels. It's a very big deal right now, but I think it is going to grow just of its own volition. It's going to grow, and over time there'll be changes made. There'll be adjustments made because we're flexible. We'll see things that we can do even better. But it's very conclusive, and we think everyone's going to be happy, and the people of your country are going to be very impressed with the result, and they'll be able to buy from more people. They'll be able to price things differently. They'll be able to get some products that aren't available to them now that we make better than anybody in the world. And it's just something that it's a great thing that it came together. It's so nice because we have many countries want to make a deal, and many countries are very unhappy that we happen to choose this one, to be honest with you. But it's a long time, our oldest ally, or just about. I guess a couple of people claim that too, but let's put it right at the top. I think it's going to be something very special for UK and special for the United States.
Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. Reagan Reese with the Daily Caller. How close are you to more deals, and when do you expect the next to be announced?
Well, very close. We have numerous deals. I know Howard's going back. As soon as this is finished, your press conference, he's got numerous. And Scott, who's right over here, who's fantastic, by the way. You were great on television this morning. I watched you. That was very good. He gave them a little lesson in the world and economics. But Scott's going to be going to Switzerland, meeting with China, and they very much want to make a deal. We can all play games. Who made the first call? Who didn't make the? It doesn't matter. It only matters what happens in that room. But I will tell you that China very much wants to make a deal. We'll see how that works out. Every country throughout the last 40, 50 years has literally ripped off the United States on trade, on military, on protection, on all the different things. And we are now making fair deals. And in this case, it's great because we really weren't very much involved. You have the European Union, which is, I think you made the right decision years ago. I don't know if you remember, I was opening up Turnberry the day that you were voting. And they asked me, would it happen or would it not happen? I said, no, I think they're going to go their own separate way. I think it's better for them. And they did. I think it's going to end up being a very smart decision. But a big part of that decision was always that you'd be able to make a deal with the United States. And they were unable to do that but now they made it, and it's a tremendous, it's very important. That was always a big part of your decision on Brexit, and they were never able to make that deal. It was, it was a tough one, and this one was. It's amazing with time. This one just went very smoothly, went quickly and smoothly, and a lot of common sense, as I like to say. There's tremendous common sense, but it's going to make your country much bigger in terms of trade, and it's going to make our country much bigger in terms of trade too. Yes, sir. Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead, behind you.
Oh, yeah. Tom Bennett in the BBC. Thank you, Mr. President. You mentioned meat.
You're with who?
The BBC.
Oh, good. Very nice. They treat me beautifully.
You mentioned meat and beef exports. The UK currently doesn't accept American beef because of its own food standards. Are you calling on the UK to accept all American beef and chicken products?
Well, I think they'll take what they want. We have plenty of it. We have every type. We have every classification you could have. As you know, Bobby Kennedy is doing a tremendous job, and he's, I think, probably heading toward your system with no chemical, no this, no that. I mean, I think we're heading that way. It seems to be, and but we have that also. So we're a very big country. We have a lot of beef. We're a very big country, so it'll be great. Yes, yes.
You want me to jump in?
Yes.
Let's talk about American beef really quickly, and it can't be understated. I'm Brooke Rollins, by the way. How important this deal is and what this means to American farmers and ranchers. Specific to the beef, this is going to exponentially increase our beef exports. And to be very clear, American beef is the safest, the best quality, and the crown jewel of American agriculture for the world. So I think a really important part of this deal isn't just the ethanol reducing of tariffs from 19 to 0, which for our row croppers is a huge deal, but also for beef. And as we move forward, I know our incredible trade team is looking at all of the meats, all of the produce, really all of our agriculture exports. And I don't know if there's an industry that has been treated more unfairly and has suffered more than our agriculture industry. So we look forward to, I'll be in the UK on Monday, talking to my counterpart over there for next week, and look forward to moving that out across the country. The president is
I think we can say that we have the best in the world, best tractors, the best everything in the world, and
we got the beef. We got some big beef in this country.
It'll be a great asset. People are going
we got the hugest beef.
Choice, and they'll have more
huge,
of it.
huge beef.
Lower prices. How about we'll do you and then you? Go ahead.
Follow-up question for the Italian TV, Daniele Compatangelo, LA7, TV 2000, Primetime Media. So
America, we got the beef. Fuck yeah, brother.
But what's the rest of Europe? It's a victory day, but other European countries, it seems like they're losing.
We intend to make a deal with Europe. We have found that the European Union treated us extremely unfairly, very difficult, and hurt themselves in doing so. And they very much want to make a deal. We'll be dealing with them. We are dealing with them currently. So that'll cover pretty much the rest of it. But this was separate.
We got the beef.
In particular, this was a separate.
Bada bing, bada boom. Locked it in. 20K. Your boy is done on the day. I don't need to overstay my welcome. Read them and weep. 20K locked in.
Somebody would say, "Hey, we got to make
lock and rock and robots,
this deal
folks."
just fell into place. The Prime Minister did a fantastic job.
I just want to make sure I don't have any rogue orders.
Total professionals, and they got along well, and it just seemed to work. And I think
we got
one of the
beef.
reasons it did is because we blew up the whole system. If we would have just been dealing with you separately, or country by country, we blew up the whole system. It was very fair to the very unfair to the United States, and I think because of that, this worked out so nicely, and I'm honored that it was the first deal. Please.
Sir, you mentioned.
Well, why don't you go in the back? Yes.
Oh, thanks, sir. I'm with the London Times. I would say this is a great day for James Bond because now Aston Martins will be available to American buyers. Will it be even better by extending it to film? You've talked about a big tariff on films, and we'd like to know if there'd be relief on British.
Well, we're going to have a discussion on that separately. And as you know, we're putting tariffs on that particular film, he said, the movie makers. And we're going to be doing some tariffs to get them because a lot of them have left this country. They all live here. The money comes from here. Everything comes from here, but they make them in other countries. So we're going to do something to bring them back, maybe to a large extent. But James Bond has nothing to worry about that, I can tell you. James Bond. And you know, Sean Connery was a friend of mine. Sean Connery was responsible for my getting zoning in Aberdeen. He said, let the bloody bloke build his golf courses. And, you know, I was like 4 years into the process, and it was impossible in Aberdeen. And he, I don't know, he just stood up one day and he said that. As soon as he said that, I got the approvals in about 2 minutes. So he was a great guy, Sean Connery, and great character.
Later in the year?
Say it?
Are you going to Scotland?
Yeah, I will be. Sure. It's great. We have a lot of investment over there. We have Turnberry.
Pop.
Aberdeen.
We got that pop.
As you know, and Doonbeg in Ireland, right on the ocean. They're all in the ocean. I only have interest if they're on the ocean. And we have good investments over there. It's been beautiful. Yes?
Mr. President, if the talks go well this weekend between Secretary Best and Ambassador Greer with their Chinese counterparts, not preemptively, but if the talks go well, would you then consider lowering the tariff rate on China?
Well, it could be. I mean, we're going to see. Right now, you can't get
That's
any
why the
higher.
market
It's at
popped.
145, so we know it's coming down. I think we're going to have a very good relationship. You know, I always got along very well with President Xi. That relationship was greatly disturbed by COVID when COVID came in, but we get along very well now. I mean, the relationship was hurt with a lot of people, a lot of countries when COVID came in. But I think we're going to have a very good relationship. I expect to have a very good relationship with China, Scott. I think it's a very friendly meeting. They look forward to doing it in an elegant way. China, as you know, has a tremendous trade surplus with us, and we just can't have that. And but I think it's going to be very good for both countries. I would like to see China opened. You know, one of the big things here is, and nobody would know this, but the UK was largely closed. It was very much closed to trade, and now it's opened. And a lot of the financial reporters are very happy about that because so much. I listened to them. Well, I hope they get countries opened up, and then you compete on a fair basis. But you can't compete when you're not allowed to go there. China would be the #1 example of that. You know, it's very closed. We almost had it last time before COVID. And that didn't work out. But we made a great deal with China. They had to buy $50 billion worth of our food products. And it was a great deal, doing very well for our farmers. And then when Biden came in, as usual, nothing happened. You know, he didn't enforce it. And it got less, and ultimately, you know, destroyed a great deal. That was a great deal. But no, I think that we're going to have a good weekend with China. I think they have a lot to gain. I do think they have far more to gain than we do in a sense, but we're going to have a very good weekend.
Will you speak to Xi after the weekend talks?
I might, yeah, sure, depending on what Scott says. We Scott is doing certain countries, and Howard's doing certain countries. I mean, I wish I had like 10 more of each. Then we could do them all at one time. But there will be a time we'll do a number of them, and then there'll be a time. I think I can say this, Scott and Howard, where we're just going to say, because we understand the countries, we understand what they want, where we're just going to make the deal. In other words, we don't need the country involvement because we've already had it. And we'll say this particular country, which had big surpluses, let's say, we had therefore deficits, that this particular country is going to pay a 25% tariff or a 30% or a 50% or 10% or whatever it may be. I think we should explain it now, Howard. One of the things we did here that we'll rarely do is on cars, we took it from 25 to 10 on Rolls-Royce because Rolls-Royce is not going to be built here. I wouldn't even ask them to do that. You know, it's a very special car, and it's a very limited number too. It's not, you know, one of the monster car companies that makes millions of cars. They make a very small number of cars that are super luxury, and that includes Bentley and Jaguar. So we have some very special cars. So in order to help that industry, and that's really, you know, handmade stuff, and they've been doing it for a long time in the same location. And I said, yeah, that would be good. Let's help them out with that one. But that's different than a car company that comes out and makes millions of cars, which they'll be doing in our country. They're going to build, we have many factories, car plants being built or going to be built very soon. I think we can say that we'll be close to $10 trillion of investment. I think we're actually at that number now if you add up some of the ones we haven't heard about yet. I mean, we have some going up right now. They have plants going up, and they haven't even spoken to us. They're doing it because of the tariffs. And tariffs have always been used against us, and I never understood. I used to sit back. As you know, China paid hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs when I was president. But until then, China never paid anything. And, you know, they really did a big number on us from the standpoint of trade. But we are using tariffs now for our benefit. And we have now close to $10 trillion. Think of that, $10 trillion. If you look at the past administration, and we're talking about over, you know, essentially 2 months, because we could say 3, but it took a little while to get the office in perfect shape, right? It took a little while to get things done. But once we started, when you think of that, close to $10 trillion of investment, you've had years where the United States wouldn't do that wouldn't do $1 trillion in a year, wouldn't do anywhere near $1 trillion. We did $10 trillion in 2 months. So it's amazing what's happening. We're getting calls from, and that has to do with chips, has to do with cars. We used to make chips. We had Intel, and we used to make chips. We had a monopoly on chips. Everything was made here. And now, over a period of years, because of presidents that didn't know what they were doing, they allowed that business to be stolen from us. Most of it moved to Taiwan. And you probably were in the same position, right? Because you had a lot of the chip-making capacity, but they moved it in. And if we would have said, that's fine, if you want to move it to Taiwan, that's good, but if you want to sell back into the United States, we're going to put a 50% or 100% tariff on, they would have never left. But we had people sitting here that didn't understand that, and it's too bad. But now they're coming back, because I'm saying it about 40 years too late, but they're coming back. As you know, we have the biggest chip makers in the world spending, in one case, $300 billion, in one case, $500 billion. Same as Apple, and in another case, $200 billion, and we're going to have a large share, very, very substantial share of the chip-making market.
You said that this weekend is going to be a friendly visit, but do you expect that it will just be a formality to break the ice, or are they going to get into substantive negotiations?
I believe so, yes. I believe it's substantive, yes. I think people like to say, yes, we're having a meeting to meet. Well, we're meeting, so what are we going to do, talk about meeting again? I think it's going to be substantive. I think we can say that, right, Scott? Very substantive. Now, China wants to do something. And look, they have to at this point. You know, essentially, they made $1 trillion a year, and now they have absolutely, you know, no business because of the tariffs. They have no business. And they want to have business, and we want them to have business. We want them to do well. We want them to do very well. So I think it's going to be very substantive.
Because business has slowed down, as you mentioned, we're seeing as a result the ports here in the U.S. the traffic has really slowed, and now thousands of dock workers and truck drivers are worried about their jobs.
Yeah, no, that means we lose less money. You know, when I see that, that means we lose less money. Look, China was making over $1 trillion, 1.1 trillion, in my opinion. You know, different numbers from 500 billion to $1 trillion or $1 trillion. I think it was 1.1 trillion. And frankly, if we didn't do business, we would have been better off. Okay, you understand that. So when you say it slowed down, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. But we're going to make it so they can. I'd like to say they can do better, actually, in terms of the bottom line. We'd like to see China opened up so we can compete in China and, you know, give people something that they've never had, you know, access to something. That'd be great for the world. It would be great for our businesses. And I think it would be great for friendship. I really expect a lot of people think I'm a militant guy. I'm really not. I think that trade can bring a greater friendship with China, can be something good. But, you know, one of the things that I know Scott's going to be talking about very high on the list is open up and let our businesses go into China, because when you talk about a closed country, that's a really closed country. And I think it would be great if it was opened up, give people a lot of choice, and would create a lot of jobs, a lot of everything. So I think it would be a great thing for China. And that's going to be one of the things we'll be discussing, like we discussed with UK.
Yeah, please. So what does Britain have to do for you to drop the baseline 10% tariff that you're maintaining?
Well, I think that's set because that has to do with a lot of different things, including past. You know, there are a lot of past things that we talk. This is very inclusive. We included everything, and that's pretty well set. Yeah, please.
Yeah, Mr. President,
the 10% baseline tariff remaining in place, is that a template for these future trade deals? You say
No.
you're going to keep it here.
No.
Is it going to stay in every case?
No, that's a low number. They made a good deal. Some will be much higher because they have massive trade surpluses, and in many cases they didn't treat us right. One thing with UK, they had it, somewhat closed, not like a China as an example, but they always treated us with great respect.
So
they treated us with great respect. The template of 10 is probably the lowest end, and therefore they made that deal. But they we've had just a very special relationship with them. Like, I won't do that deal with cars. I mean, unless somebody shows me that there's another kind of a car that's comparable to a Rolls Royce, then there aren't too many. This is a good commercial for Rolls Royce. They're going to order a lot of cars.
Mr. President, I wonder whether you'd like to buy.
I mean, well, the last time this happened,
I would be happy to suggest a discount, obviously a very modest discount. We have to protect our profit margins.
I've had many of them, actually. The last time that happened, I ended up buying a Tesla.
Tesla.
Go ahead.
Mr. President. Mary Margaret Olahan with Daily Wire. I had a question about the UK deal today. I heard there was talk that part of the agreement would depend on whether the UK would respect free speech and freedom of religion. I know the VP is really interested in that, talked about that earlier this year. Was there any assurances that you guys got on that front?
You want to handle that?
Yeah, that was not part of the conversation. Our conversation was an economic conversation from start to finish, closed by the president yesterday. This was a business deal, open their markets, and also protect their workers, grow our markets, and help our workers.
This was about business religion. Business is sort of a semi-religion, but not nearly as important. I don't want to get myself into
Go
ahead, please. In the back. Go ahead.
Mr. President, will you be asking China to help you close, the gap between Ukraine and Russia?
I think so, yeah. I think it's a natural thing to ask.
What do you expect?
Sure. I don't know. I think we're making good progress. The fighting is a little bit different than it was. I think if we weren't involved, Russia would be, going at it to maybe get the whole thing. And without our involvement, they'd be able to get it, because we supplied a lot of different things, foolishly. But we've been sort of paid back by doing the rare earth deal that I talked about before. I think that I think that we will be very much involved in trying to get that bloodbath. It's a bloodbath. It's a horrible situation. 5,000. It's really more than that. But it's 5,000 soldiers on average a week, mostly soldiers, are being killed. Young, beautiful people. I mean, they're being killed. I see the satellite pictures coming back, body parts lying all over fields, heads and arms. It's so terrible. I've never seen anything like it, actually. And if we can get that stopped, that will be a great accomplishment. And we're trying very hard, and I think we're close. And Mr. Witkoff is talking constantly back and forth. He's a real professional who's got a great relationship with both countries. And I think we have a good chance. And likewise, we're trying to work on Iran to get that solved without having to get into any bombing, as we say, big bombing. I don't want to do that. I want them to work a deal. I want them to be very successful.
Mr. President, Edward Lawrence from Fox Business.
Yes.
On the non-market barriers, how did you get the UK to bend, and what was the 11th hour deal or ask?
Well, I think it was really just a part of the overall. I mean, they have so many things that are so good for them. It's going to be so good for the country. And that was sort of easy. It wasn't, we had non-market, I call it non-market or non-monetary trade barriers. And we had quite a few of them, not nearly as bad as some countries. Some countries have, they have virtually no tariff, but the rest of it is so brutal you can't do business with them, right? So it's a very important question, actually. No, I think the overall deal just worked out very well from their standpoint. They were willing to give that in order to get other things, and you might want to speak to that, Mr. Ambassador.
Look, the point about the deal is that we will continue reducing tariffs and non-tariff barriers. This is a continuing picture. It's a movie. It's not a still picture here. It's a movie.
Yeah.
It continues. And we're both committed to freeing up trade between our countries. We're both committed to freeing up investment between our countries. And the point about this deal is that it provides a very good template and a very good launch pad for what we can continue to do and build on in the future. And that's what we're both determined to do.
You know, many of the, well, wait, better not say.
That's between us.
Many of these, we'll keep it confidential. Right? Yeah, how about just one more little thing, right? It got the deal closed, and it was handled very well from the other side, too. But many of these things that we're talking about, we've been talking about this for 25 years. It's hard to explain when, if you weren't sitting behind this beautiful Resolute desk, you just wouldn't get it. I have been hearing about making a deal with UK for 25 years. And especially around the time of Brexit. They wanted to make a deal, so they came out of Brexit and they make a deal, and how natural. And it just couldn't be done. It couldn't be done. Good people. And this is a bigger deal. This is a much bigger, better, stronger deal for both of us than we ever even contemplated before. It's a big deal.
Virtually everyone said that it would end in failure, it would end in tears, and it's ended in exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
But, Mr. President, can I say that that is due to Secretary Lutnick and Ambassador Greer, have been absolutely fantastic. But
right.
Yesterday I received a call, a very diplomatic call that just edged things over the line, and that was from your new ambassador in the United Kingdom.
Who is terrific. Right?
Warren Stevens, he's here.
Where is Warren?
Right here.
Hello, Warren.
He's flying to London tomorrow night. He's going to be very popular with the British people. He's going to be a very successful ambassador.
Under nominee.
And?
Were you disappointed?
And? He's got plenty of cash. Okay, plenty of cash.
Are you planning
We need some more beef.
Are you planning to meet Ursula von der Leyen?
You're going to go ahead, fast.
Yes, are you planning to meet Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Council anytime soon?
Oh, she's so fantastic, right? She's so fantastic. I hope we're going to meet. Yeah, the answer is yes. I saw her a few days ago. And I think that we'll definitely meet, yeah. The European Union is a big thing. They want to make a deal very badly. You know, everybody wants to make a deal. Look, everybody wants to make a deal with the United States, and we're doing that, and we're going to make fair deals. I'm just honored that this was the first one. Go ahead, please.
The Federal Reserve Chairman, Mr. President, says that you would have to call him for a meeting. Do you plan to meet with him?
I could
and what do
call
you
him
think
for a
about,
meeting, but it's like talking to a wall. He should be.
the Bank of England cut today?
Well, the Bank of England cut, China cut, everybody's cutting but him. It's you know, I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's a shame. I call him Too Late, you know, Too Late Powell. That's his nickname, and it's a shame. It's ridiculous. So meeting, he's always too late. But in this case, it's not going to matter that much because our country is so strong. We're so powerful in terms of economic strength and what we've done. And I'll tell you what, if we didn't have our first term, you wouldn't be. We created things in the first term. We cut more regulations than any president in history. We cut the taxes more than anybody in history. And a very big factor is going to be the tax bill that we have right now, the one big beautiful bill, as we call it, which is all-encompassing, the biggest tax cuts ever in history, bigger than even the first time, and the incentives, even great for the UK because it'll make us so strong that we're going to be doing more business with you. It's a very important element for taxes, for every aspect, regulation cuts. That bill is, I believe it's the biggest bill of its kind ever in the history of this country. And Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune have done an incredible job. I mean, I'll let you know we have to get a vote, but we have a lot of support for that bill. And if that happens on top of all of these trade deals that we're doing, this country will hit a point that you better go out and buy stock now. Let me tell you, this country will
better buy stock
will be like
now.
A rocket ship that goes straight up. This is going to be numbers that nobody's ever seen before. That's a very important element of all of this. You know, if we get that, if you don't, and the Democrats are fighting it only because they want to fight. They have Trump derangement syndrome. You know, if it was somebody else, they wouldn't fight. If you had a normal person, if you had some stiff sitting behind you, they'd be fine. But they have Trump derangement syndrome. Senator Schumer's become a Palestinian. Welcome. I don't know when they're going to give him the ceremony, whatever the ceremony may be. It's terrible what's happened to the Democrats. So very, very
VIX is
important
breaking
element
down,
of
vols
everything,
collapsing.
what we're doing. Unrelated to today, but related in the sense that we'll do, if that passes, we'll do even more business.
Be careful
We'll have
about
so much.
5,700.
It's the biggest tax cut in history.
Be very careful
It's going to
there.
make our country zoom. It's going to be incentive, as you know, with the deduction for basically for work. You work, you build, you plant, etc. Your deduction.
Yeah, more like
it's going to be the biggest
57.20.
biggest bill of its kind ever passed. Maybe the biggest bill ever passed.
57.15.
That's why we call it the one.
This was the big bet. It's
bill.
moving up a little bit higher.
You just announced a new nominee for the U.S. Surgeon General who never finished her residency and is not a practicing physician. So can you explain why you picked her to be America's top doctor?
Because Bobby thought she was fantastic. She's she's a brilliant woman who went through Stanford, and as I understand it, she basically wanted to be an academic as opposed to a surgeon. I think she graduated first in her class at Stanford, and Bobby really thought she was great. I don't know her. I listened to the recommendation of Bobby. I met her yesterday and once before. She's a very outstanding person, a great academic, actually. So I think she'll be great.
Your nominee for U.S. Attorney of D.C., do you have a backup plan if this Senate?
Oh, I do, yeah, but he's a terrific person, and he wasn't getting the support from people that I thought. He's done a very good job. Crime is down 25% in D.C. During his period of time. I'm very disappointed in that. But I have so many different things that I'm doing now with the trade. I'm one person. I can only lift that little phone so many times in a day. But we have somebody else that will be great. I just want to say Ed is unbelievable, and hopefully we can bring him into
Right. 5,700.
whether it's DOJ or whatever in some capacity, because really outstanding. To me, it was disappointing, I'll be honest. I have to be straight. I was disappointed. A lot of people were disappointed. But that's the way it works sometimes, That's the way it works. And he wasn't rejected, but we felt it would be hard. And we have somebody else that we'll be announcing over the next 2 days who's going to be great.
With companies like Ford and Mattel recently saying they're going to raise prices on certain products, how long do you think the American public is going to be patient and wait for you?
Well, I think they're saying that just to try and negotiate deals with me. Okay? They're not. Look, tariffs are the most misunderstood thing maybe in any form of business, anywhere in business. Oftentimes the country picks them up. Oftentimes the company picks it up. The people don't pick it up. Okay, the people don't pick it up. And if Ford did that, they wouldn't sell any cars. And if Mattel, I don't know, I'm not so sure. They also said they're the only country I've heard. They said, well, we're going to go counter. We're going to try going someplace else. That's okay. Let him go, and we'll put 100% tariff on his toys. And he won't sell one toy in the United States, and that's their biggest market. I heard that. I mean, I watched this guy talking about how I'm going to go counter. I said, well, I wouldn't want to have him as an executive too long. The Ford people I know very well. What they're doing is negotiating with us by saying that. But we don't think that's going to happen. Look, I put out a truth today, and it said that gas is down, gasoline is down, energy is down, groceries are down, eggs are down. I mean, eggs, thank you very much. But eggs are down. When I came in the first week, you guys hit me with eggs. I said, what the hell happened with eggs? Eggs were up like 170% and going up. And they said, don't order any for Easter. And we were thinking about ordering plastic eggs like everybody was doing. And Brooke did a fantastic job, agriculture. Brooke did a fantastic job. And we had hundreds of thousands of eggs out here on the lawn just 2 weeks ago at Easter. But you take a look at the cost. Energy's down. Even interest rates are down. Now, if the chairman of the Fed, Jerome, if he would lower interest rates like China did, like I think UK did, but like numerous other countries have done, it's like jet fuel. It would be great. But he doesn't want to do it. I think he doesn't want to do it. Probably he's not in love with me. I think that's right. It's sort of a crazy reason, but that's the way life is.
Anybody in his position would be learning. It would be like jet fuel. But even without that, we're doing well. But remember this, I've watched you people reporting over the last few months that if we do this, prices are going to go through. Well, groceries are down. All of this stuff is down. Lumber is down. Oil is gone to, we have that thing broke 60, right? $60 a barrel. And $1.98, $1.99 in some cases. And heading in that direction. No, I think it's been amazing, actually. And what that's good for, it gives the consumer more money. And it gives them a better life. Because we just came out of the worst inflation, in my opinion, in the history of our country. They say 48 years. But Biden really screwed it up. He screwed up energy. And he also he spent too much money. He was spending it on, Green New Scam. And that's like throwing the money. See that beautiful window behind? Take money, throw it right out that window. Because it's the same thing. He spent $10 trillion. He wasted it. Not only was it bad, it was a negative. It wasn't even like it helped a little bit. It was a real negative. And then on top of it, they let 21 million people into our country without any identification, anything. Just let them in. It's very, very sad. Well, we'll do one or two more.
$1.99 gas. $1.99 gas.
Violence in India and Pakistan.
Go ahead. Who are you with?
I'm with the Daily Telegraph. You know me from another
I do.
How concerned are you about the UK's reliance on China? Chinese money in the money markets, Chinese exports.
We're not concerned.
Is that something that came up in discussions?
I'm not concerned about anything. If I was, I wouldn't even be here right now. If I was concerned about anything, and it wouldn't be that, but I wouldn't be here right now. No, we're not concerned. We're going to have, I believe, a very good relationship with China and a fair relationship, and it'll get bigger and it'll grow. It'll grow. As an example, if they open up the country, that'll be the best thing China ever did for itself. They don't know that yet because, it's been a different system. But that'll be the greatest thing that ever happened to China. The people will be happier. They'll buy for less. They'll see things that they never saw before, and they'll be buying them. And it'll really create great long-term peace.
And if I could ask one of the Agriculture Secretary, actually, there's a lot of concern about chlorinated chicken, the import of hormone-treated beef. Has that question been addressed, resolved in these talks, or is that something for the continuing negotiations?
Well,
James.
I would just say that it's very clear, and we have in the heads of terms that we are going to discuss all of these types of issues, and obviously the importing country, whether it's us or them, you got to follow the rules on those types of things. But our point is the rules need to make sure that they are based on science, and that's our expectation. We know the UK believes that too, so we want to come to an accommodation. We want the consumers in each country to be able to choose what they want and give them the information that they need.
Okay. We have an incredible EPA led by Administrator Zeldin that is on this. So the talks continue, but we are very, very confident in our products, and what the President has done to open up the markets is unprecedented for these farmers here in America. Thank you.
Wall Street, as they watched this, you saw the stock market decline sharply after Liberation Day, and it's rallied back since then.
Well, now it's going to really rally, because, don't forget, they said this is all a pipe dream. And this is a tough one. Somebody would say, well, this is easy. This is much tougher, I think, than any other deal, because they've been at it for so many years, decades, trying to make this deal. And it's very conclusive, and it's a great deal, and it's a very big deal, actually. And no, this is just the beginning. We're going to be having conferences, or at some point we won't have. We'll just put out a statement that we just signed this country, that country. And after a number of these are done, nobody has enough people to do it. We're just going to put out X country is going to pay this, and if they open up, they're going to do this and that, and they're going to be open up. Everybody wants to be here. I say this is where they want to be shopping. They want to shop in this country because we have the consumer. And we have the consumer like nobody else. And, if this country went bad, the whole world would go bad. But we really saved it from going bad. Yeah, please.
Can I ask you about the air traffic control issue? Are you looking at getting new software, new equipment?
I'm glad you asked me about it, because I'm just going to be talking to now with the heads of the airlines and everything else. So I was all set before we had the rigged election to give out a brand new gorgeous system to one company that was going to do the whole thing, one of the best companies in the world that you know very well. There are 3 or 4 of them that do it. And when they took over, Buttigieg who has no clue. You know, he drives to work on his bicycle with his, in all fairness, with his husband on the back, which is a nice, loving relationship. But he didn't have a clue. This guy didn't have a clue. And he's actually a contender for president. Between him and Crockett, you can have that party. But he didn't know what he was doing. And he took what they call dry systems where you have wires in the earth, buried in the earth or whatever. And then you have the open air systems where you have satellites. And you can't mesh them. Anybody would know that if you went through about 2 months of study in school, if you studied that kind of thing. And he did. They spent tens of billions of dollars trying to take old, broken equipment and merging it into existing new equipment with brand new equipment. It's one of the greatest. They spent like $40 billion. And what they did is they made it worse because it doesn't work together. You can't make it work together. If you have a satellite system, you need satellite. If you don't, they had all these different technologies, some of them 50 years old, and they're trying to mesh them in. And they end up spending twice the money they should have. You could have bought a whole new system. So we have a very good guy who you all know, Sean Duffy, is head of transportation. And I've given him a 10-minute lesson in buying, and he's become really good. And we are now in the market to buy a gorgeous, brand new system. The helicopter that crashed into the plane at 400 feet, it shouldn't have been. What would have happened is all sorts of bells and sirens would have been going off 3 minutes before that accident happened, if you had the right equipment, but they did. And the new equipment is unbelievable what it does. You can have, you don't even, well, I was going to say something, but you always, in my opinion, you always need pilots. I want pilots. But you wouldn't even have to have pilots. This system is so incredible what they can do. But we have a system that's obsolete. And what they did is the worst. They tried to combine the really old, broken stuff with the new stuff. And you can't combine it. And anybody should have known. So Biden, do you think Biden figured this out? I don't think so, fellas. Do you think he has any clue? He doesn't know what the hell's happening. So here's the story. We're going to be buying a brand new, it's going out to bid very soon, brand new state-of-the-art system that will cover the entire world. I'll give you an example. When my pilot, now I have military pilots, but prior to that I have very good pilots, great pilots. They would land, and I won't tell you which country, but they would use the system of another country. They wouldn't even use the system of the United States. So if I'm landing in New York or Florida or Tennessee, they're using a system from another country. I said, why is that? And they were, you know, they're not into business, but they're just saying, our system doesn't work, sir. And I said, boy, that's pretty sad. But we were all set to give it out to, you know, look, you have a Raytheon and you have different companies like that, numerous companies. And you have companies that would do it, like an IBM, as an example. And you give out one deal, one contract. They gave out hundreds of contractors. They had diggers. They had non-diggers. They had people that focused on satellites. They had hundreds of different contracts. One contract where one guy is controlling everything. If you need a trench, then they dig a trench. But if you don't dig the trench, they don't blame you. What happens is you don't dig it, then they say, we want a cost overrun. Now, we have it all set, and we're going to be doing it. We would have done it, except that the election took a little strange turn. But the second one didn't. That was too big to rig. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Please keep moving.
That was a brilliant conference from Donald Trump on what he's calling victories.
Well, that is all she wrote, folks. Options market really started popping at 11:04, ripped to a new intraday high at 11:50, taking a bit of a breather now, but showing strength. Same thing in the Mag 7. Started picking up around 11, really got going at 11:20, and just obviously the market really, really enjoying what the president had to say and this deal being struck between the U.S. and the UK. On that particular note, you guys saw it. It was kind of during that, but I got my one trade in, and I'm attempting to do things even more disciplined than I've been doing it. So you guys saw that I skipped the first signal. The second one, I got stopped out for break even. The third signal, I did take it, made my money. I thought throughout it, I measured, or I handled my risk pretty well. But 20K, oop, you guys cannot see this. My bad. Here, sorry, I just put it up. But as you can see, 20K locked in. There's no live positions now. There's no orders right now. But anyway, $1,000 on 20 different accounts. So that's the 20 grand from there. Obviously, in the Discord, they know that Piper fired and that trade's looking well. And actually, I did create some new swing positions today, which thus far are up a nice $13,000 without really giving away the thought or the logic or anything, just to show you, yeah, I'm trading my swing account up 13K. So you remember, you could get all this stuff real time in the Discord. Your first month is free with the code Goonie, or if you want to trade on Apex, the futures trading, also the code Goonie, you get 80% off in 1 day to pass right now. So whether you're using code Goonie on Apex, code Goonie on Take Profit Trader, or code Goonie to get into Locals, which is the payment management to get into the Discord, code Goonie, GOONIE, is that code that you are going to be after. So just wanted to share that all with you. But folks, literally, when I'm sorry for being late today, traffic, flights, I literally had to get up at 4 a.m. So I need to still unpack and kind of, I don't know, figure out what I'm doing in my life. So I'm going to see what I could do during this lunch period, and then ideally come back and hit it this afternoon and see what is going on. With respect to important levels, I kind of have them already shown here. Feel free to screenshot this if you need it, but these are the key technical levels and the key open interest levels. 5,700 is a pretty important one. I love this overshoot. I hope we can make a base right here, base throughout lunch, and then I would love in the afternoon a rip to 725, or maybe even all the way up here to 745. I should note that the 745 bets, I put it there because we have some at 50 and we have some at 40. So instead of having two just so close, I cut it in half. So I just wanted to give you a little bit better explanation of what's going on there. But from a momentum standpoint, the 5, the 10, the 30, and the 4-hour chart on ES and NQ are all bullish. From an options flow standpoint, it's clearly bullish. And then also from a price structure standpoint, clearly we are making higher highs and higher lows. So right now in the short term, the bulls are in control. If you ask me, I really like what's going on in the daily chart setup. Let's look at VIX. The vol is getting crushed, which, remember, that's generally an inverse relationship with the overall market. So we're making a fresh low on vol. On top of that, we are now making a fresh high on SPX. Clearly, ever since this insanity at the start of April, since then, higher highs, higher lows. I have my next target from a technical standpoint already kind of marked right here at 5787. It is the high from Tuesday, March the 25th. On the SPY, that would be equivalent to roughly about 576, 577. I'm just looking at the high from back in this period. On the Q, same thing. They're actually even closer to taking out this high, kind of looking at 494. Past that, we're going to get up into some of the fun above 500. Bitcoin is breaking out not only of a huge technical level, massive psychological level at 100,000, really strong, higher highs, higher lows, not that far away from a new all-time high. Palantir crushing it, granted not an all-time high, but not that far away. Strong cup and handle formation. Tesla, we have this like kind of accumulation sideways trading. Technically, we're still in it. Yes, we are seeing a higher low. I do like that it's on top of the EMA, but more so I wanted to see it push and successfully hold 300. Key technical level, key psychological level, key options level. MSTR highly correlated to Bitcoin. If Bitcoin's ripping, MSTR is going to be ripping. Broadcom, semiconductor play, tech's going up. This is most likely going to go up. Same thing with Meta. On Meta, side note, pay attention to the FTC case against them. Microsoft, huge gap up on their earnings, holding, looking beautiful. Next key level is 448. Earlier today, I was showing you the options flow of Microsoft specifically, very, very strong. Someone made a massive bet on Microsoft at 1120, but from like a risk standpoint, pay attention because OpenAI is in front of the Senate today, and OpenAI, Sam Altman's ChatGPT. Remember, Microsoft is a big equity holder in that. NVIDIA is looking good, trying to get on top of its cloud. Apple is actually probably the weakest tech play right now. Amazon knocking on the door of a breakout. Coin going to be somewhat correlated with crypto, so crypto's looking good. Still somewhat range bound, but knocking on the door of a breakout at 210. ASML, this is another semiconductor play. Nice long-term trend breakout. ASML, when I see a multi-month trend being broken like this, I actually get interested in it for my long-term account. So I just wanted to call that out there. And that's kind of the major stuff of what's going on. So I just wanted to give you that rundown. So here's the plan. I will be posting an update video later today after the market closes around like 7 p.m., 7:30, something like that. Then we're going to be streaming. We're going to do a Payday Friday tomorrow. So update video coming out tonight. Payday Friday tomorrow. Evergreen video talking about Apex and the rules and what they mean and what they don't mean. Also coming out tomorrow. Apex, you could get 80% off with code Goonie. Take Profit, you could get 30% off. They're roughly financially the same. Depends on how good you are at passing evals. They're pinned to the top of chat in the description of the video. And of course, if you want to hang out with me more directly, that is always what the Discord is for. So obviously, in a general sense of anything, questions, comments, concerns, reach out to me and I will do my best to get back to all of you. I do very much appreciate your patience with me having such a crazy morning, such a crazy day. So I know we were late, but hey, it turns out that patience paid anyway, and there was really no point to be trading before like 11 a.m. anyway. So hopefully, because I wasn't doing anything, maybe it stopped people from making trades they knew they shouldn't have been making. And I know it probably didn't, but hey, at least it sounds good. So I'll see you later on today. We'll post some content, streaming once again tomorrow to conclude the week. I appreciate all the good vibes. Love you all. Peace.